Hi, and welcome. Today, we are talking about how to fix our shaky, nervous voices. Um, we're going to be talking a lot about mindset and things that we can do to work with our body when it feels like our body is kind of working against us. So let me give you a quick overview. If you're new here, I'm Camille with 30 Day Singer. Again, I've got baby stuff behind me, and this might be my last live lesson with you for just a little bit. Hopefully, one of our other teachers will hop on here, so you'll still be getting consistent live lessons from us. Um, but quick overview. First, we're going to talk about working with our body and specifically triggering a parasympathetic nervous system response rather than a sympathetic or fight, flight, or freeze response. Second, we're going to talk about the rule of opposites. Oftentimes, we are thinking even if it's subconsciously, we're kind of thinking up and our body is tensing or squeezing up when we're nervous. So we're going to do a few things, a few exercises to actually reverse that, to think down or back. We'll talk about consistent airflow, having a breath management strategy that works for you and that you understand. We'll talk about mental rehearsal and your brain, and we'll talk about getting better at performing. So, not just getting better at singing, but getting better at performing, because those are two separate skills. You might be an amazing singer in the practice room, but if you haven't taken the steps to improve your performance skills, then people might not be able to see that. So, hi, Mark, and hi, Irene. So, first, working with our body. I mentioned before we have our sympathetic nervous system, fight, flight, or freeze. So, when your heart is racing, when your breath is getting shallow, when you're starting to sweat, that's a good sign that your body is in more of a fight, flight, or freeze response. That is definitely not what we want to be feeling or a state that we want to be in when we're singing. So we can do a few things very practically to trigger instead a parasympathetic nervous system response. And Pete is weighing in. My voice triggers an unsympathetic response. Well, that might have to do that. We'll talk about that later, Pete. So first thing that we can do, very, very simple, is do some deep belly breathing. We're going to focus on low, slow belly breaths. And this is a really good thing because it's the very same type of breath that we want to sing. So place your hands on your belly for me. First, just roll those shoulders back, stretch out your neck. Anything in your body that is maybe tensing even just a little bit, just give it a little bit of love. So stretch, massage, whatever that looks like for you. And hi, Caddy, as well. So hands on your belly. Your belly has to be relaxed in order for it to move so that we take these belly breaths. If your belly is crunching in or tensing, as it is kind of want to do when we're nervous, we need to remind our belly, hey, you can relax. So an easy way to do this as well is to start by breathing in and out through your nose. So let's start in and out through the nose, relax your belly, and see if you can feel that belly moving in and out when you breathe. If you want to, you can close your eyes. Again, inhaling and exhaling. And notice just a few breaths like this starts to calm your body. Keep going. Just take your own pace. One more breath. Now, pretty easy to do when we're breathing in and out through our nose. Can you have that same relaxed breath when you drop your mouth open and breathe in and out through your mouth? I know this is Some singers still like to breathe through their nose. However, most of the time I'm suggesting an inhale through the mouth because it's quicker. You can set up your instrument well to sing, um, and you're able to take in more breath in a shorter amount of time. So, if you are a person who breathes through their mouth to sing, now just drop that jaw gently down, but keep that same belly breath going. Hands are still on your belly, so you're reminding yourself to relax. So, this is something that you can do prior to going on stage or prior to whatever performance you're about to give. It's also something that you can do while the intro or the instrumental beginning of your music is playing. So let's say you're doing karaoke or you're singing at a friend's wedding, something like that. Um, Rather than just standing there, being nervous during that intro period, remind yourself, okay, belly relax. Let me take some deep breaths. And that alone is going to set you up to sing well without, yeah, without really doing anything difficult or any mental jujitsu. Second thing we can do, this is something that you would do backstage, probably not on stage, is to give yourself a neck massage. So focus on the sides of your neck, move behind your ears. Go ahead and interlace your fingers behind you and draw your neck from side to side. Keep that belly breath going, though. A lot of times when we start to stretch out, we kind of get back into holding our breath or tensing our tummy. So get used to moving and doing other things while you continue that low, deep belly breath. So, little neck massage. Okay, another thing that we can do to trigger that parasympathetic rest and digest response is to actually touch our lips. And I know that sounds kind of silly, but keeping that low belly breath going, just run a finger gently on your lips. I know it might feel weird, but give it a try. If any one of these cues works particularly well for you, file it away. If something doesn't work for you, that's okay. You're trying it today. You don't have to do it every single time before you sing. I have two more kind of odd ones for you. First is what we call the Valsalva maneuver. This is what you would do if you're, say, driving up in the mountains or you're on an airplane and you feel like you need to pop your ears. So we pinch our nose and exhale, and you might feel your ears pop. I just felt my ears pop. You can or just breathe through semi-pursed lips. Both of those are ways to stimulate your vagus nerve and actually effectively lower your heart rate. So I don't want you to get lightheaded, but try that and just see how your body feels. Is your body feeling calmer? These are kind of like little hacks. And last one, this is kind of an odd one, but we're going to place a finger inside of our ear. I'm going to use my pinky because that's the smallest, obviously, and press gently backward. And now start moving your finger in small, gentle circles. And notice, so I'm feeling already the yawn coming on. So try it in one ear. See if you sigh, yawn, or begin to salivate. If that doesn't happen on one side, try it on the other side. And again, that's a sign that you're telling your body it's time to rest and digest. So rest with the yawn or sigh, digest with the salivation. Um, all of these things we would be doing backstage. Obviously, I'm not having you stick your finger in your ear while you're on stage. But the one that you definitely can and should do on stage is that deep belly breathing. Okay, so all of that sets us up to be in a calmer state before we start to sing. And really, that's crucial because if we are in, hectic, heart pounding, shallow breathing mode, it's really difficult to get out of that. And you can get out of it, but it might take you a while. It might take you till, halfway through the song when you're finally like, oh, okay, I can relax. So prep with all of this before you go to sing. Second thing I want to share with you is this rule of opposites. So when you are singing, particularly the things that we tend to sort of freak out about are high notes or long sustained notes. So I want you to think as you're singing that high note, whatever you're perceiving as high or difficult, to think down and back instead of up and forward. So let's try that with a few exercises, not too much singing today, just a little bit. So I'll start you right here, either A4 or A3. And then we're going to our high note. And then we're coming back down. So if we mapped out this melody, we're starting kind of in the middle. We're going up high and then we're gradually coming down. Everything in your body and brain might be thinking along with it. So everything is kind of maybe subconsciously squeezing in and up. We want to break that mental habit of thinking in and up, tightening, squeezing. That typically doesn't help us. So instead, pretend that the pattern is going lower first. So try that with me. Sing. And you could sing this on anything. I'm just humming, but you could sing on an open vowel or a syllable. Feel how relaxed that is to descend one more time. Good. Now we're going to sing the actual pattern. But keep pretending and thinking that you're singing. And I'm pointing down as just another way to remind myself I'm thinking down, not thinking. Okay, so again, we're thinking, but we're singing. Okay, and then we come back down. Sing on anything you like. Hum, vowel, syllable. Let's try a few of these together. And I'll periodically, as I'm able, although I kind of need both hands to play, but I do encourage you to point down or even squat, something that's forcing you to think down for that high note. All right, here you go. I'm sort of squatting down to help you with that. Here we are. Okay, same idea. We're going to sing a 1-8-1 pattern on a ooh. But first I want you to sing the opposite. Ooh. Give that a try. You're starting on either A flat 4 or A flat 3. Okay, so this is high high, low, high. Ready and sing. Ooh. Feel how relaxing that is to descend again. Ooh. Now we're going to do the opposite pattern. Ooh. But we're going to pretend that we're still singing low, high. Oh, sorry. High, low, high. So we're singing low, high, low. We're pretending and thinking really hard that we're singing high, low, high. Here you go. Ooh. Thinking down. Another thing that helps here is letting your jaw drop a little bit. And again, if a squat helps you, ooh, you're squatting into that high note. All right, here you go. We're tricking ourselves, pretending that we're singing lower when we're not. And Lady K said, my throat hurts, so I sound a bit croaky. That's okay. If it hurts too much to sing, or if singing is making it hurt, you can just do this mentally. Mental rehearsal counts. We're going to talk about that very shortly. But if it feels okay to sing, something really gentle like a hum, an NG, might be a good choice. Here you go. Walking down. Are you doing something physical to remind yourself down, down, down? Point down. Couple more. Last one. All right. Any exercise that progressively gets higher and then lower, you can practice on that. It does take a while for this to become second nature, but that's really ideal if you can build into your practice anytime you're singing higher, instead of thinking up, think down or back, think grounding low. That way, when you're singing a song and maybe feeling a little bit nervous, that will be second nature for you. You won't have to focus specifically on that. Lady K said, I don't know what's wrong with my voice today. My head voice is usually strong, but it sounds kind of broken. Maybe I did something wrong. It's hard to say. Sometimes we just have off days. Dehydration can do that. Tiredness, a little bit of swelling can do that. I would say definitely take it easy. If your voice is feeling off, it doesn't need to be the day that you work really hard to fix that. Sometimes, you'll come back to your practice the next day and things will be back to normal. But if you had to sing, or if you really want to sing, I would say anything gentle that makes it easy for your vocal folds to come together would be the way to go. So in particular, straw singing, that would be a really good one to help kind of take down any swelling if there is any, and help you find some balance in an easier way. So try that maybe for any of these exercises that we do. either the straw, or if you don't have a straw handy, the puffer fish is a good alternative. If you remember that exercise. If you don't remember it, first exhale with your lips almost touching and your cheeks puffing out. And then add noise. And then if you want even more resistance, you can add a finger. So that's all if you don't have a straw or if you prefer that pufferfish exercise. Okay. So we practiced thinking down. We can also practice thinking back instead of forward. But I actually want to move on to our next point. Since we're talking about kind of shakiness when we experience nerves, the importance of consistent airflow. So, first, for this, I think you need to understand what your personal breath strategy is. I'll share mine, and if it works for you, awesome. But there's more than one way to manage your breath. So, if what I share does not really click with you, that's okay. If you find something that works better, use it. Ultimately, that's what we care about, right? Is using what works. So my breath management strategy goes like this. I first make sure that my posture is good. If my shoulders are collapsed, if my chest and rib cage are collapsed, naturally, when I go to take a full breath, my body is going to rise and then it's going to want to fall again. So rather, I want my shoulders to be down, back, and relaxed, my arms just hanging out by my sides. I want my chest to be comfortably lifted. I don't need to be sticking my chest out or putting myself in an uncomfortable position, but I do want my chest to be tall and proud. The reason for that, my rib cage elevates when I do that. So try this with me, see how this feels for you. Again, shoulders down, back, and relaxed, chest comfortably, just nice, tall, confident chest. Feel your rib cage is elevated. And now when I breathe, my body is already in this tall, elevated position. So I don't feel the need to rise further. In fact, that's kind of uncomfortable. The more comfortable choice is to instead let my belly do the moving. So try breathing that way from this position. We're tall, confident, ribs are elevated, and now we're just breathing, letting the belly and the sides and maybe even the back. This is all your rib cage, obviously wrapping around. We're feeling our belly move instead of our chest rising and falling. Okay, see how that feels? Hopefully it feels relaxed, not effortful. Okay, so that takes care of our inhale, just making a low, relaxed inhale. Second, when we talk about breath management, and again, I'm sharing my breath management strategy. And if it does not work for you, leave it. Uh, but I think in general, this should work for most singers. When you exhale, feel your the muscles between your ribs, your low belly, right underneath your belly button. Feel the muscles in those two areas engage very gently and feel that on a hiss first. So inhale, exhale, hiss. Stay tall. Okay, so if you're then collapsing as you hiss, no good. Stay tall and confident. Feel your belly muscles are working or the muscles between your ribs. Okay, try that with me. Stay tall all the way to the end. Inhale, belly relaxes. Exhale, hiss. Keep going and just notice what's happening. I'll tell you, for me, I feel those muscles kind of set. And then at the very end, when I feel like I'm using up my air or kind of running out of air, then I'll feel the need to draw in my low belly. Maybe you feel something different. Maybe you feel like it works better to be drawing in gently the whole time. Maybe you feel it works better to kind of think about flexing out the whole time. So that's why I said there's more than one breath management strategy, but that's just what works for me. Is I kind of feel set out toward the beginning, and then as I feel that air is getting used up, so to speak, then I'll start to gently draw in my low belly. And again, super, super important that we're continuing our tall, beautiful posture the whole way. Things fall apart if we start to collapse. And Lady K was saying, hissing works a lot better. Okay, so then we're going to transfer from the hiss to a hum. So from a hiss, we're going to see if we can carry that same feeling, whatever it was for you, whether it was, kind of feeling like you're pushing out or just staying or gently crunching in. Going to see if we can do that same thing on a hum. All right, give this a try. Hiss to hum any pitch that's comfy for you. Again, tall, good, confident posture first. Relaxed belly when you inhale. Exhale, hiss to hum. Whenever you're out of breath, just relax. Hopefully, you're still seeing and hearing me. Let me know in the chat if I'm still here for you. I got a little notice that my connection, my Wi-Fi connection, is having a little bit of trouble. But I'm going to keep going. So make breath management exercises like this a part of your daily practice, again, so that it's second nature and you can rely on it when you're feeling kind of nervous. Same idea. Okay, cool. Thank you, Mark and Lady K, for weighing in. Same idea as the whole thinking down for high notes. We want to make our breath management daily routine, so that it's not something that, oh, when I'm nervous, that's when I start focusing on my breath. No, when you're nervous, you want to be able to call upon the breath management that you know works for you day in and day out. And last note on consistent airflow, use visualizations that feel grounding and calming for you. It's not very grounding or calming to think, okay, fill up with air and then hold on to that air so you don't run out of breath. No, it's much more grounding and calming in my experience to instead think every breath is an opportunity to relax. And then if I've practiced that song, if I've rehearsed that song thoroughly, I can rely on the fact that my body is used to taking as much breath as it needs for each of those phrases. So I can, rely on my past practice. Some people like to imagine kind of silly things, but if it works for you, great. So one thing would be, that your lungs kind of extend down much, much further down into your body, kind of pretending that your lungs go all the way down to the bottom of your abs or even down into your legs. And I know that sounds dumb and it's not anatomically correct. However, it helps some people to relax and to feel grounded. So again, visualizations that feel grounding and calming for you, even if they are not true, they can still be helpful. Let's talk now about mental rehearsal and your brain. seeing if there's any questions here. Okay. Let me know if you've got a specific question, Jack or Eunice. Um, Jack is talking about kind of maybe inconsistency, sometimes singing great, and then other times maybe not so great. Um, I think a part of that is just, again, the fact that our voice is a part of our body. So it's susceptible to things like illness, allergies, lack of sleep, stress. Um, Very annoying, but that is what it is. Um, the flip side of that coin, though, is as long as it's not hurting you, singing anyways under a variety of conditions. Um, Not only singing when your voice is feeling 100%, um, that's kind of a part of being a professional, is learning how to handle your voice when it is feeling a little phlegmy, a little tired. Um, so Eh, that might not sound super helpful, but I think that's the reality, is kind of eh, this is another reason why daily singing practice, or at least close to daily, is really ideal, so that you are giving yourself a chance to sing under all of those conditions, and figuring out what works for you, figuring out, okay, when my voice feels like this is what I'm really excited to do. Um, you know, if that makes sense, hopefully. Okay. So mental rehearsal, let's talk about it. First, just a little bit on neuroplasticity. Uh, Singing, it is a physical thing. It is so thought guided. And you might have heard this phrase before. We talked about this in our Singing in the Brain live lesson. Neurons that fire together, wire together. So we can create neural pathways, habits, by how we practice. In the practice room, if you have a strong negative reaction to something, so let's say your voice cracks or it doesn't sound as good as you want it to, um, you're telling your brain in that moment, that's important and I want you to pay attention to it. Um, Instead, if you can, and I believe that you can, break that habit. Instead, let mistakes kind of roll off of you. Don't give them a huge emotional reaction. Do not beat yourself up about a crack or a weird sound. Embrace that it is part of the process. Approach it with curiosity, instead of, anger, frustration, all of that. Um, Ask yourself, I wonder why that just happened. And let me see if I can change something to get a different result. That's what a voice teacher does. If I have a student who cracks or, sounds weird in their own opinion, I'm not freaking out about it. I'm just thinking, why did that happen? And then offering a correction or something else to try. You need to also approach your singing in that way. Um, Again, if every time you hit this certain note or something odd happens and you go, ooh, or, you know, I'm a bad singer, that's what you're training yourself to do. The whole practice makes perfect. We could more accurately say practice makes permanent. And if every time, anyways, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but instead, can you, when things go well, or when things even just go okay, no mistakes, no issues, celebrate that. Pat yourself on the back for that. And so many of us do the opposite. We focus all of our time and attention on the mistakes. We take the normal stuff for granted. We're just like, no, 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 no. Okay, everything's fine. And even when things go well, we don't naturally pause and take the time to celebrate that. Um, but we need to. We need to reverse that. So when something goes well in your practice, give emotional energy and attention to that, to what you just did well. That way, again, you're telling your brain, that's what I want to pay attention to. That's important. Um, not the mistakes. So assign positive emotion to your successes or even just, your normal practice when things are just going fine, no major breakthroughs, but rather than just accepting it, or taking it as business as usual. Our brain, because sometimes it doesn't really discriminate between real and imagined, can respond in a real way to things that aren't real. That's why we cry during movies, right? We know even that it's not real, but our brain is responding as if it is. So mental rehearsal allows us to prepare for actual performances, as long as we're getting specific and allowing ourselves to really feel the feelings that we expect to feel during performance. And then take it another step further by imagining ourselves doing well. This practice, by the way, I learned from fellow voice teacher Mike Goodrich. So if you're interested in this, I suggest the Inner Singer podcast. That is his podcast. He talks about mental rehearsal quite a lot there. So this is how it would go. And the whole reason for this is we don't all have endless performance opportunities, right? So this is a way for us to get in performance experience without having to book a bunch of shows or get an audience together. So make this a part of your practice rather than just singing through your song and having yourself in the headspace of I'm in my room or wherever it is that you do your practicing. Um, get yourself into performance mindset, performance headspace. So visualize, where are you going to be? Who's going to be there? Ask yourself, what am I going to be feeling in that moment? What am I seeing? What am I hearing, smelling, all of that? And as you do this, you might feel those nerves kind of creep into your body. And that's actually a good thing. I think sometimes we, at least I can speak for myself here, we are sort of in denial. We just think, well, if I prepare well enough, then I won't feel nervous. And that's not the case. Singing in front of other people oftentimes brings up nervous feelings. So, this is a way for us to practice with those nerves in a safe space rather than just hoping and praying that those nerves aren't there. So, I saw, I think Eunice was talking about singing at church. Oh, I'm sorry, Eunice. So Eunice was saying you practice at 8:45 before church and then lose your voice. What shall I do? Um, I don't know why you're losing your voice, Eunice, but I would suggest potentially getting up even a little bit earlier so your voice has more time to warm up. If that 8:45 practice, your voice is still feeling really, you know, tight or tired, then maybe you need more time to warm up and wake up potentially. Okay, so we're talking about mental rehearsal. We're imagining the scene, and then we're letting those maybe nervous feelings or excited feelings kind of come into our body, and we're practicing in that emotional state. And then last step is imagining it going well, imagining us hitting that high note, imagining us, having fun, connecting with our audience, maybe getting compliments afterwards friends, people in the congregation, wherever it is that you're singing, um, and make that a part of your kind of dress rehearsal process. Um, Another thing that you can do to decrease those nerves, or at least give yourself a chance to uh, perform with nerves, is sing the song start to finish. Sorry, I'm struggling to get the sentence out. Singing your song start to finish. And if a mistake happens, don't stop. Keep going. Um, I was working with a student not too long ago, and every time they hit this one note, they cringed. And their homework for that week was to pretend to act like that note went well and they loved the sound of it. And in reality, there was nothing wrong with the sound. They just didn't like it. um, but their homework was to pretend that it went well. Um, and if you're experiencing that as well, if you get nervous about a certain note, or you think it doesn't go well or has a chance of not going well, many, many times it's obvious to you, but it's not obvious to your audience. And the only way that they know it sounds bad to you is if you're showing them on your face. Um, you know how your performance is supposed to sound, or how it usually sounds in the practice room, right? You've experienced like probably your best performance alone in the practice room, but your audience hasn't. They have no idea what's normal. Maybe they don't even know the song or your version of it. Um, so let them enjoy the performance for what it is, again, because they don't know what it could be, what it usually is. I hope that makes sense. So practice start to finish. Sorry, shaking my table. If you make a mistake, roll on through, because many, many times your audience won't even know. And if you are practicing in that way, then again, it'll be so much easier to do on stage. But if in the practice room, every time you make a mistake or sound weird, you cringe or stop and restart the song, that's what you're training yourself to do. And we just simply can't do that with a live performance. Last thing on this point, most people are not used to the way that their voice sounds to others, particularly on a recording. It's very, very common. You hear yourself on a recording and you're like, ooh, who's that? They sound like a child and they sound nasal, and I hate it. That's normally the thoughts that go through our head. I promise you're not alone if you're feeling that. Um, get used to that voice on the recording sooner rather than later, because this is another way for us to practice performance without actually needing an audience. So my very last point for you, and then we are in Q&A time. Steps to take to get better at performing, not just to get better at singing, but better at performing without an actual audience. So, first step is to record yourself and play it back. Don't live in the dark. Get used to hearing your voice on a recording. Second step could be, once you're happy with a recording, so let's say you've been singing for several months and you're hearing improvement and you're like, hey, this recording I did the other day, not so bad. Consider sending that to a friend, a family member, someone, and asking for their feedback. Actually, first step might be just sending it to them. No feedback. um, and then once you're ready, and if you want feedback, if you think it would be helpful, ask them for some feedback. Another step after that would be singing live for somebody. It could be over Zoom if that feels like less pressure to you. It could be a friend, a family member, someone who feels safe and trustworthy and kind. And again, you might say, this time no feedback. I just want to get used to singing not by myself. Um, Next time, if you want, you could ask for some feedback if you're ready for that. Um, Two other ways to get more comfortable with performing. These do require participation from other people. So, one would be group singing opportunities, a choir situation, a church situation, but singing in a context where it's not just you alone on stage. And then this is actually a tip I think I got from Pete, if Pete is still here, having kind of fun, low pressure type of singing. Maybe it's karaoke, but in particular, choosing a song that you can kind of go into character for. Um, it's often easier to sort of put ourselves in someone else's shoes, do like a little bit of a character voice or a funny song rather than it being this like serious ballad. Um, so I hope that makes sense. It is Q&A time. So any questions you've got, we have 15 minutes for them. Um, Nice. Okay. So Jack shared, I've taped me and didn't stop when I thought it was terrible, but on the playback, it really wasn't that bad. Totally. And you can remind yourself that, um, one weird or bad note, it's just one among many. um, I know it's really difficult to remind yourself of that in the moment, but it's true. Mark, one performance tip could be visualization to take you somewhere else and take the pressure off and keep yourself in a confident and comfortable headspace. Yeah, absolutely. So, Mark, can you share when you say take you somewhere else, where would you go? Do you mean like you're on stage, but you're visualizing yourself, um, let me know if that's what you meant, or if you can get even more specific with that advice, but I think it's great advice. And Lady K was saying, I sing so much better alone. When I sing for others, it just sounds slightly less smooth. I can relate to that. Oh, Mark said I froze for a second. I was asking if you could just get even more specific with that advice. So, do you mean you're on stage, but you're visualizing yourself kind of off stage? Where are you kind of envisioning yourself? Um, Okay, so Lady K, you were talking about singing so much better alone and it sounding just kind of slightly less smooth when you sing for other people. The first thing that comes to my mind to help with that um, is, and I've given this advice before, so it might be stuff that you've already heard, um, but is focusing as much as you can on the story. That to me helps me find better sense of connection and smoothness as we're talking about. um, that always helps. um, Eunice is asking what exercises to do. So I would say if we're still talking about this issue of singing early in the morning and then having some issues, I would say give yourself some time waking up where you're not even exercising your voice. So just give your body a chance to wake up, to get hydrated. And then um, any exercise that is gentle, semi-occluded, so straw, pufferfish, NG, hum, um, and really kind of feeling out what your voice is ready for. Not pushing yourself to go too fast too soon or too high too soon. Um, Lady K was saying, I find it difficult to transition to a belt. I have to get ready to belt. Any tips for that? Um, I would say whatever, I think that's normal, number one, because belting probably does take a little bit more support or preparation than other kind of more relaxed modes of singing. So I do think that's normal. But with that in mind, let's say, you have something belted at the end of a phrase and it's kind of difficult to make that transition. I would say whatever you feel you need to do right before belting, try that right at the beginning of that phrase, if that makes sense. Lead English Club. So, what do I have to do to open my voice when I'm nervous? Good question. Um, so, I think all of the things that we talked about today should help you. In particular, thinking down or thinking back instead of up or forward when you're singing. Taking your time when you inhale, because an inhale, again, we mentioned this before, every inhale is an opportunity to relax and to open up. So if you can get into the habit of taking a nice relaxed inhale, feeling that openness in your mouth and throat, you might be so open that you yawn. Um, that'll go a really long way as well, so that your breath each time you breathe is opening back up instead of tightening or constricting. Um, any advice on vocal placement to not sound like your voice is being swallowed in your throat? Sure. So, one thing that comes to mind if we're getting kind of a swallowed or constricted sound would be to consider what's happening with your tongue. Sometimes the tongue pulling back or the tongue kind of pushing down on the larynx can have that effect on our sound. So I would try taking your tongue. Actually, I wish I had a washcloth or something nearby, but actually taking your tongue, pulling it gently outside of your mouth, and doing some vocalization without the washcloth. It could just be but the tongue is out of the mouth the whole time. Even a tongue out hum, mm, and just sirening up and down. See what happens if the sound um, feels and sounds a little bit more present or, forward, so to speak. That's what I would start with. You could also consider kind of brighter vowels. So vowels like an e or things like that. Those tend to again kind of bring the tongue forward and help us with that, what we might call forward or brighter placement. Mark, taking yourself somewhere else can help. Or when I was younger doing theater, I originally had stage fright due to the pressure of people. So I used visualization to act like they weren't even there. Awesome. Yeah. And I think if I can add on to that as well, when I'm singing, I'm not thinking about the whole audience there. I'm thinking about one person that I'm singing that song to. Usually that person would not be in the audience, but I'm visualizing that one person, maybe in the back of the room. But yeah, it's too much to take in this full crowd of people. And another fellow voice teacher, Judy Rodman, I think she's in Nashville, but she talks a lot about this, about how when you're singing to one person, you actually end up connecting with the group a lot more because the group is not a mass, they are just a bunch of individuals. So when you're singing to specifically one person, you're sharing most truthfully, most authentically, and people can sense that and connect with it. Um, So I hope that that makes sense. Either envisioning the crowd not being there or just envisioning that one person that you are telling the story of the song to. Um, so Eunice, working one-on-one, yeah, the pricing of lessons kind of varies depending on the teacher, their level of experience and training and all of that. Um, so if you are looking for someone, you know, close to you, then I have no idea what that would cost. I can give you my site as a reference. If you were interested in working with me one on one, there you go. Um, right now, I'm just teaching online, but I'm in Southern California. Lady K, I started singing a lot louder. I noticed I don't have much control over my voice when I'm singing loud. It's difficult to explain, but it sounds like my voice is not one steady note. Okay. Um, so I might let me find a lesson or two that might be helpful for you. So this is a short lesson. It's how to avoid a yelling tone. And I'm not sure if this really, really specifically addresses what you're talking about, Lady K, but give this a try. I believe I actually forget exactly what I taught in that lesson. Um, but let me grab another one for you as well that's related. So this is wide vowel modification. Both of those should help you find a little bit more stability, going from maybe a shouty or unstable, kind of overly chesty sound, kind of reining it in, bringing in a little bit more perhaps mixed quality. So hopefully that helps you. Those are the two that came to mind. Just a few more minutes, my friends. And again, this might be the last time I see you for a little bit. But hopefully, I think the plan is for Abram to hop on here and do some live lessons while I'm on maternity leave. So I hope that happens. Um, that is the current plan as I understand it. Do you have any recommendation on videos that are yours or someone else's which shows the vowel placement and mouth opening when singing? Um, oh, thanks, Mark. um, Let me think about that. I do have lots of videos on vowels. Um, I I can think of another teacher as well. Let me just think for a second. So if you look up like in your YouTube search bar vowels 30-day singer, a lot of stuff is going to come up. Um, but another teacher that I really like and respect is Dr. Dan here. Um, but yeah, if you look up vowels, like I can put some of these in the chat for you. Vowels for beginning singers, vowels workshop, narrow vowel modification, a wide vowel modification, beginner's guide to diphthongs. Um, the thing about vowel modification, though, is it's going to differ from singer to singer, from pitch to pitch, from different desired like intensities. So I wouldn't when you're asking for like showing vowels that a specific singer is doing, it might look differently in your body and for your voice. So I would say take the principles, but you don't necessarily need to look exactly like another singer singing a specific modified vowel, if that makes sense. Because we all have different instruments, but the principles should help you and should apply across the board. Okay, I'm signing off. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. I hope you got maybe a couple good nuggets to take with you on your singing journey. And I will see you when I see you. Bye.